So welcome to another war game... I'm just kidding. Welcome to another board game review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're taking a look at SpaceCorp Ventures, which is the expansion to SpaceCorp. This is from GMT Games, designed by John Butterfield. The game originally... SpaceCorp came out in 2018, and it is a 1 to 4 player space exploration near future style game. So it's moving around, kind of setting up bases and discovering things within our kind of localized solar system.
And then going beyond.
It goes into like the next era where you get further into the solar system and out beyond that. And then beyond that, you start getting outside other solar systems and stuff like that. So there's like, the game progresses through these different eras.
The really cool thing about the game is it has 3 different boards.
Yes.
So you literally play through each of those boards and then move to the next board.
And you keep the same corp throughout all of that.
Yeah, you do.
And you're building a kind of a mini tableau and your pieces. You complete that board. Some points are scored. Then you set up the next board and you continue on your journey from where you started, and you get better technologies and you replace things. Really, really cool game.
Well, a very thematic game is too. We did talk recently in our monthly update about thematic games, and this one really feels like that. You're building your infrastructure, your bases, your mining operations, your research stations to then get to the next level and do more things.
Well, and it strikes a really nice balance between having some kind of sciencey, spacey type stuff and being an actual playable game.
Right.
Because there are a number of space games out there which are just like, this is not a game.
High Frontier is more simulation than a game.
Yeah, like
and we've played that before, but it was too dry, and really I thought missed out on the game aspect. Now, many people are going to tell us you're nuts.
I think many people will not tell us that. Though.
Yeah, I think
like
you're right.
That game has victory conditions for no reason.
Yeah,
like you're playing around that as a little simulator to enjoy the relationship between weight and thrust and mass and the different drives. Like, that's what that game is for.
Yeah.
Playing it competitively is just like, what are we doing? This, however, SpaceCorp does a really nice job of actually like moving around and doing all this stuff. Like, it's a much better game to play, but it's much more pared down with the sciencey aspect.
Well, and it takes the science, but it distills it down into a deck of cards. You're building up your infrastructure, called infra in the game, to go further and further and build and explore and do all those things. So it really does this. It really creates the same type of environment, just does it in a very different way.
Yeah, you've got to manage things like the further out into space you get, all the radiation damage you're going to take from travel through deep space. And you can't just go from here to here.
Yeah.
You need like a starport to launch you off as like a stopping point. So it's a really neat little game.
Yeah.
So, SpaceCorp Ventures. Let's finally get to this expansion.
Yeah. Well, we had to give a baseline because we want to make sure you understand it. And furthermore, we have a review video on the channel.
Yep.
We also, I think we did unboxings for both this and the original game.
And you did a playthrough.
And I did a solo playthrough of only the first era. And I probably made a ton of mistakes, but it gives a feel for how that is played.
Yes.
And shows you some of the mechanics and the components.
Yeah, so go and watch, if you want to learn how this game plays, go and watch that playthrough, go and watch our review of the base game.
We'll link it in the bottom right.
But, and I say that because this game doesn't change the mechanics particularly.
This expansion literally is just a stack of boards and a couple dozen cards. That's it.
But the cards are just more cards
Yep.
of what you've already got. And
some new contracts, and that's it. That's really it.
And the core of this expansion is these player boards. It's the SpaceCorps. So that was what the only complaint people had about SpaceCorp is everyone has an identical SpaceCorp. We've got the base one here that you get in the base game.
To you there.
Everyone has one of those. So
Yeah, these are all in the base game.
Generic.
They're all the same. They all have the same infra. So this infra here, these slots, you put cards down and build that. So you increase your movement and research and exploration, etc. But they're all the same. There's nothing unique about this.
Yes.
It's all the same.
Whereas you now start with this big old deck of massive amount of SpaceCorps, and everyone's infra starts differently. Or, some of them the same. You also have special abilities that trigger in each of the different eras. I think it's the Planeteers and Starfarers. Or there's like one for all the eras. You also have, on this side, you've got different starting setup. So normally you just get X amount of cards, and the way that works, it's different. You might have a generic start with the cards, but you might have different cards. And then you're getting your own little special abilities. And some people, like someone started with some progress on the progress wheel.
Yeah.
Some factions have a larger progress wheel. It's harder for them to adapt.
It has 5 spaces rather than the normal 4.
The normal 3.
Or 3, yeah.
And each
3.
of these, so you've got all these, but then you also have the solitaire one-player version of each one of those on the back as well. So this is why you bought this game. You like SpaceCorp, and you wanted to play more SpaceCorp, but have everyone start off different, have a different kind of a focus, and different abilities and capabilities.
Yep.
So, yes, I'm not going to lay it out and show you how the game works anymore, because the game is the same. It's just, you now have this is me. I'm the Drell Institute. I have no infra to start the game with, but I have lots of very cool abilities that allow me, once I get my infra growing, to be a powerhouse in the long game across all 3 eras.
Yep.
Or you might have ones where you start with a bunch of infra, and then your long-term capabilities might be slightly different. You get a boost in the beginning. You might wane a bit in the mid-game, but by the late game you start powering up. And there's a ton of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
So, yes.
I'm trying to find the one that I played. I played SpaceCorp. Here we go. No, that's Graph Deck.
You played the Drell Institute, I believe.
No, I played SpaceCorp.
Did you?
Or Brum played SpaceCorp.
Yeah, he played.
Sorry, I played the Drell Institute.
Yeah, because they had nothing, right?
It had nothing.
And it's just, this expansion Ventures puts the SpaceCorp into SpaceCorp.
Yeah, right.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah.
And it just, that's what I like in those kinds of games. If I'm playing a big multiplayer game and we all kind of start off generic and the same, cool. That might be balanced, but
right.
Let's make it a bit more interesting. Let's zhuzh it up a bit. And this is
this makes it, while the game I think is really replayable. I mean,
eminently, yes.
I've played it 4 times now, and I've really enjoyed it every single time. Having new corps just give new ways to go about it. So what I would say about the playability and the competitive nature of, I think in the base game, all 4 of those base cards, you're going to all be on the same footing, right?
Yes.
It really, I think, makes for a very balanced game where it's about getting where you need, building what you need, and getting there and doing what you need. And what I found in the play where we played 4-player with our brother-in-law and father-in-law and then you and me, our corps were so different and we only decided to play the short game because we had already played a long game that day.
Yeah, some of these balance out over the course of...
So I think, for instance, the Drell Institute, I think it would have been better over the 3 eras, which is a normal game, but that's a 2.5-hour game. We only wanted to play a hour game.
We were trying to squeeze it in because we've done a lot.
But what I would say is you're going to have to really test these out a little bit before you understand, okay, this one I can play in the short game. And my opponent can play these 1 or 2, and we're going to have a competitive. But when you have things that really don't kick in until the next
slow
era,
start that ramps up.
It makes it impossible. That was my only complaint about it, but it was a complaint based in the fact that we only played it 1 time, quickly in between other games. and we already know SpaceCorp. But
Yeah.
I liked what they did. I mean, I could see, oh boy, next generation, I'm going to be really good in this area.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where I will probably not play this game without this.
I don't know why you would.
This is an auto-include expansion
yeah.
if I've got it. I would never play without it. There's no...
Right.
It's just fun. I think about terraforming Mars. I would never play without those corporations, right?
Yeah, we have the basic, the little expansion, and then we have a couple of the other expansions, and I wouldn't want to play the games without
because the corporations just it's fun. You get a head start, or you get like just a bit of a focus. You know, in any of those civ building games, think about Eclipse. If you start at all generic, if you play the generic ones where you're all humans, cool.
Yeah,
it just comes down to like the tiles you flip. Whereas when you play with the different alien races with the cool abilities, you start getting like, ooh, I can do this extra cool thing. I can manipulate the board in this way. I've got this cool ability.
It makes it unique.
It just makes it... I think that's more engaging. I think that's more interesting. And it's, frankly, more fun as far as I'm concerned.
Well, this game is fun anyway, but I think playing it in that way where you have so many different techs and different focuses.
This just knocks it up a notch. And that's, a game that is enjoyable and very fun anyway. This is like, this is like cherry on top.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a blast. Also, this was the first time I played it 4-player.
Yeah, the last time we played, you and I, it was just 2-player.
Yeah, I played it 2-player. You played it multiplayer with a couple other times.
I played it with Tim and Matt, 3-player. And then I played it solo. And then I played it 3-player one other time. So yeah, I've played it a couple different...
You've played it at all the player counts. That's amazing.
You're absolutely right. Now that I say that, I did.
There's not many games that we can say that we've done, mate.
No. Solo, 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player. Absolutely. And I thought they were all very, very interesting. Now, what I would say at 4-player, and I made this comment, man, it is a dogfight.
It's very congested.
To get where you want to go and get something out of it, especially in that first era, you got to get off and get going. You cannot wait.
Yeah.
Because, once again, the tech, or the corp I had to spend time building infra, and I'm like, oh, I missed out on that. Oh, I couldn't do that. But I would have been benefited the next era.
Yeah, because you're like, I can't dilly-dally around here doing this stuff because it took me so long to get my engine going, but I can race off the map first.
Which I did.
And then in that map, then I could start exploding with my stuff. And I really liked it 4-player because it was congested. Mm-hmm. It added a bit more of like, there's a bit more tension, a bit more shoulder barging each other.
Yeah.
And you get to really like make the best decision.
Yeah.
Whereas when we played 2-player, the map was a bit more open. It's like, I do my stuff over here. You can kind of do your stuff over here. Yeah. We're all going to get lots of points. Mm-hmm. It was a very different experience with 2 to 4 players. I was surprised, but I was like, oh yeah, this is very different. I was impressed that it was like, yeah, it's almost a different game.
I think it's unique. A lot of games, 2, 3, and 4-player counts don't change significantly. This one really did. And I think that's a testament to John, his vision and design for this game. And John, frankly, has done a lot of great war games.
A lot of great war games.
This is not a war game, right?
Ooh.
This is a...
I don't think it's any combat in this one, right?
No, there's not. There's not at all. And it's not needed.
No.
Because that's not what it's about. But I love this game. I would play it at any time. SpaceCorp Ventures just makes it better.
Yep. So
icing on the cake.
Yeah, I had a blast playing with this expansion. If you like SpaceCorp and you don't have this, not sure what you're doing, go buy this.
Get it.
Like, this will make your SpaceCorp just that much better.
Yeah.
And, extra cards, all these great corps. You'll have a blast playing this. I really, really enjoyed this. This is like a must-get expansion of this game, as far as I'm concerned.
I would agree.
So, SpaceCorp Ventures from GMT Games, designed by John Butterfield. Pick it up if you're interested and you've got SpaceCorp. This is the way to go. So I appreciate you tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.